Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's that boy Fred. Welcome back to another video. And now we are going on to the versus battle type of videos going on the channel. If you watched my last video, at the end of it, I said these were the new videos we want to do, and we finna get right into them now. You know, I'm a big Naruto fan, so that's mostly what I'm gonna be doing. But before we get into the video, I want you guys to go down there, hit the subscribe button if you're new. And before we get into this video also, man, cue the new intro. Alright, now for the first point in this versus battle that I'm gonna be going over a big point that a lot of people like to bring up that'll say it'll be a one shot for Itachi's win. I'm gonna cover the Genjutsu part of the fight. Now, with Genjutsu, I personally want to say that Itachi's Genjutsu, as we all know, he has Tsukuyomi, and with a base Sharingan, Itachi was able to put both Orochimaru and Naruto under Genjutsu. Now, granted, these people are both way weaker than what Minato would be. Well, I wouldn't say way weaker, but they're significantly weaker than what Minato is. And so these type of Genjutsus, even with the base Sharingan, of course, would not work on Minato. I'm pretty sure he knows of Uchihas. His reaction time will be like top notch at this point in time. Now, Tsukuyomi might be a different story, but from what we're going on off in the series, Genjutsu has really, I'm not going to say be a joke, but I mean, let's be real, it kind of has been throughout the entire series. It's been hyped up to be very powerful, but it hasn't been used in the right way. There have been very few people who've actually been able to pull off some impressive Genjutsu. You know, Itachi using Tsukuyomi versus Itachi was an impressive showing. And, you know, the infinite Tsukuyomi and Obito being able to control Yagura, who's a perfect Jinchuriki of the three tails, and also Obito being able to control the nine tails. And that's also another point I want to bring up, is Obito being able to fight Minato. And this is another feat for Minato in the Genjutsu section, is being able to fight an Uchiha who has a Mangekyo Sharingan at this point and has already been, you know, he's controlled the nine tails, so his Genjutsu is definitely worthy. And yet not one time did Obito manage to put Minato under a Genjutsu. Now, we can't flat out just say that he never, we can either A, say he never tried it, or B, well, we can say he never tried it because he knew it wouldn't work, or we can say B, it just, he just didn't do it, like, whatsoever. We can either say it's because he knew it wasn't gonna work, it didn't work, or we can say he tried and it failed. So those are our only options when it comes to the Genjutsu section. But next, I want to move on. Oh, before I move on, I guess in the Genjutsu section, that wouldn't be too much of a problem in this fight. And so I'm going to move on to the next section, which I'm going to be talking about speed. Now, in speed, we can roughly say that, I'm going to talk on Itachi's first. We're going to roughly say that Itachi is probably EMS, KCM maybe one, you know, speed wise, because he was able to go hand to hand with KCM1 Naruto, who he also was able to, who was also known as roughly EMS Sasuke's equal at the time. And Itachi was able to move just as fast, if not better, and react to certain things that Sasuke wasn't able to when they were fighting against Kabuto. So then, you know, that puts Itachi right there on their level. And if you want to say that since Naruto blitzed the Raikage, so he's on that speed, you can say Itachi's now, you know, lightning speed, wherever the Raikage is at this point in time. So, you know, it is what it is in that situation for Itachi. You know, you roughly can put him around that area. Now, Minato, we all know how fast Minato is using the Flying Thunder God technique, and also being known to use the body flicker technique, which was more so known for Shisui, but Minato can also use it. And I mean, if we're gonna be real, Minato, it's blitzing Itachi no problem. When it comes to the speed section, I think it starts and finishes with Minato, and that's really including anybody in this series. I mean, of course, there are characters who are faster than him towards the end of the series, but if we're just talking about like raw speed, yeah, Minato's gonna take that one by a long shot. Next, I want to talk about hand-to-hand combat and how this fight will start to play off. Because now that I got the basics out of the way, I want to start to go into how this fight will really start to play off. Now, what I want to go into first is hand-to-hand combat. And with hand-to-hand combat, like I said earlier, Itachi was able to go toe-to-toe with a KCM 1 Naruto. So we know Itachi has good taijutsu. We also know that his main sources of ninjutsu will be the fire style jutsu, the shuriken jutsu, and I guess you can say the Susano as well. Now the Susano I'm gonna get into a little bit later because that one can be a little tricky, but we're gonna get into Minato real quick. And Minato is no joke in hand-to-hand combat neither. We've already seen his showings in the show with hand-to-hand combat, whether it be with Obito or the Raikage and B. Now, even though the Raikage and B, you know, it wasn't really too much hand-to-hand, I would say, in that fight. More so, it was more so a little altercation between them that resulted in a few cuts, you know, a few speed blitzes and nothing too much. But for the most part, you know, Minato has good taijutsu too. Now, ninjutsu, we all know Minato, like I said, Flying Thunder God, and Minato has the Rasengan in his arsenal. And Minato, unlike Naruto, doesn't need nobody else to help him charge up a Rasengan. Minato can do it at like immediately in his hand. So that makes his Rasengan already a little bit more dangerous than what Naruto was until he got KCM. Now, Minato also has summoning jutsu, being Gamabunta, and Minato also has Sage Mode. Now I'm going to touch on Sage Mode real quick because I feel like Sage Mode is a big part in this fight. Now with Sage Mode, if you want to be, I say this is a little bit headcanon-y, but if you want to kind of highball Minato and say that he basically can do what Kabuto didn't do, which is close his eyes and fight Itachi. Now, like I said, that's highballing him because Minato did state that his Sage Mode isn't good. Granted, he did close his eyes and go into a perfect Sage. So I don't know if he was referring to himself not being good at controlling Sage chakra, or just not being able to hold it for a long time. Because like you can interpret it in two different ways. Because if you interpret it in the way that he's not good at in controlling his Sage chakra, that's a little bit you know, that's iffy, you know, because being a perfect Sage, you would assume that, you know, he would know how to control the Sage chakra. But it would be more realistic to believe that he would be able to hold it in as long as he would like, or as long as even Naruto could. We can roughly say that. So with Sage Mode, granted, this does make Minato a lot stronger. I would say that he's able to fight Itachi with his eyes closed to avoid Genjutsu. But like I was saying earlier, Genjutsu is not going to be a factor in this fight, because I do not feel like Itachi will ever be able to pull it off. Now, if he is able to pull off Tsukiyomi, yeah, one shot, Minato's gone. The second he's in that, yeah, Itachi's got him. He slit his throat, whatever. That's game over. Now, in the same case, I can go for Minato. Well, actually, no. Before I go back to Minato, I'm gonna talk about Hitachi Susana real quick and tell why that can play a big factor in his fight as well. Now, the Susano, of course, as we all know, is a big part. Like this can make or break this fight for Itachi. Now, I personally feel that the Susano will be definitely the main result for resort for Itachi, because his ninjutsu isn't ever going to hit Minato. The fireball jutsu and the shuriken jutsus are never going to hit Minato. It's just not going to happen. Genjutsu, like I said, is iffy. It's probably not going to hit Minato neither. So his main source of power is definitely going to be the Susano. Now with the Susano, he has the Yadomir and he has the Tosca Blade. Now the Yadomir is definitely a big problem, but Minato doesn't have any huge attacks that would need to be truly blocked by it. He has a Rasengan, of course, but the thing about the Susano, and that was made relatively obvious, is that Itachi's Tosca Blade, Yadomir, the shield is not all the way around the Susano. It's only in the front. So with Minato being the type of character he is, and knowing how fast Minato is, it is not a doubt in my mind to say that Minato does not throw all his kunais down, and he does not find an opening behind Itachi Susano and Rasengan him behind there, or either figure out a way to get him out of the Susano. Because even though that might sound headcanon to some people, that is actually a realistic event that could happen, because the back of the Susano has no defense, and being Minato is as fast as he is, Itachi, it's no way that I can believe that he'll be able to turn around and completely turn the Susano around to block Minato's attack before he Rasengans him in the back or something of the sort. Now, the Tosca blade is also a different story. This is one of the hit or misses with Itachi. If he does hit, just like the Tsukuyomi that I said earlier, yeah, GG. I mean, we seen it on Nagato. Like, yeah, that's GG's for Minato. But I have to keep going back to this because it's a big fart. I mean, big fart. Oh my god. This is a big part of Minato is his speed. If Minato can get hit by the Tosca blade is the big question. And if you're gonna ask me, I'm going to say no. Minato cannot get hit by this Tosca blade. Now, it's not thrown out of the water that it's just not out of the question that he can't. But will he is a totally different story, because that Tosca blade, yeah, it may be fast. And when Itachi did hit Nagato with it, Nagato technically got caught off surprise and he was completely standing still. Itachi's reaction time, Minato's reaction time is way above that. If Minato was able to dodge the Raikage when he was borderline able to sniff Minato's breath, I'm guaranteed that he'll be able to move out of the way of a Tosca blade that he knows is charging right towards him. So with that out the way, I'm going to start going into how I feel like this fight is going to play off all the way into the end. Now, the way I see this fight going in is Itachi has... Oh, I am so sorry. I'm probably going to re-mention this in the beginning of the video. I don't know how I forgot this. But we are talking about Hokage Minato and a hypothetical alive and healthy Itachi. I'm sorry, guys. Now, if this was the case, and we're talking alive, healthy Itachi versus Hokage Minato. Now, Minato, with no question, this is not out of the question by far. This might be some people just me ripping off Itachi, but Minato has been able to, he's been shown that he can speed blitz somebody and cut their throat. Now, this is one of Minato's 2-1 hit, like that's just a KO for Itachi. Itachi has the Tsukuyomi and the Tosca blade. Minato has slit his throat in about 3 seconds. Because there's no way in the world I'm going to believe that Itachi has that reaction time to react to Minato's speed blitzing him that quickly. So I can't believe it. Like I personally cannot believe that Itachi can do that. So if that was to happen, that would be a KO for Minato. But let's say it doesn't happen, just for, head Kennedy parts, Let's just say that Itachi and Minato are here. They see each other. Minato throws down his kunais. Now, what Itachi can do, but will waste a lot of his chakra and ultimately lead to his downfall, is he could Atamarasu all of Minato's kunais. Now, if he does do that, he's now ran out of chakra, well, at least is running low, and 2, he is now becoming a little weaker, of course, since he can't do as much stuff, and now he has to rely back on taijutsu since he's running low on chakra. And I already said what taijutsu was going to go to. It was going to go to Minato. So if that's the case and it comes down to a taijutsu fight, Minato is going to win, because like I said earlier, Minato can whip out a Rasengan way quicker than a lot of characters can, and all he has to do is do exactly what he did to Madara, except for, it's Itachi and he won't get his arm snapped off. When he popped up on Madara with his Sage mode, and he really would have hit Madara if, of course, like I said, Madara wasn't broken at that point in time. But if that was to happen with Itachi, that would be a GG, because one Rasengan is probably going to do it for Itachi, like it does with a lot of characters. But let's say Itachi doesn't use the Amaterasu on them, then it turns into a ninjutsu and taijutsu fight, which, like I've already stated earlier, that a lot of Itachi's main ninjutsu sadly will not reach Minato unless I just really lowball Minato and highball Itachi. Cause that's really what I came into this fight thinking. I came into this having an estimate, I came into this fight thinking that, Minato probably will win. But then I thought to myself, wait a minute, Itachi does have some pretty good feats to back up his own case. So I came in here and, these are all my reasonings. And the more I look at it now, I'm looking at it like, yeah, it seems as if I was correct, because all of Itachi's main usage of ninjutsu is just utterly useless when it comes to someone like Minato, who's so fast that none of it really will probably ever hit him, so he won't have to deal with it. And sadly, I'm gonna have to say it, but in this fight, Minato Namikaze beats Itachi Uchiha. Now, this is my first versus battle video, so if it was all over the place, please let me know in the comment section, because I want to get better at these, because I truly do enjoy these. I like talking about hypothetical fights that could have happened in Naruto. They really excite me, honestly. Like, a lot of these fights I really wish would have happened, but sadly we couldn't be able to see them. But the best we can do is have people talk about them and give their honest opinions on them. And like I said, I expect Minato to come out on top on this type of fight right here. So with that out the way, you guys, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this new style of video, because this is going to be the type of videos we're going to be uploading on the channel from this point on. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you've seen here, please think about going down there, hit the subscribe button, hitting the like button so you don't miss another video. And with that out the way, I'll see you guys in the next one.